Hello everyone, Thijs here again, this time with another video where we take a look at the so far revealed Witchwood cards this week. This is the second review video for now, where we now got a little bit more information about the expansion. And now we want to start off the one with probably the most exciting one of the week, or the most expressive one that we got here. It's the Hunter Legendary. Hunter Legendary Emeriss. 10 mana 8/8 dragon with a pretty impressive battle cry of double the attack and health of all minions in your hand. So really exciting card, definitely, but also a card that might be a little bit hard to make work from what we have now. The hard thing for a hunter is definitely to hold a lot of cards in the hand. The effect of the card is definitely really powerful. But a buff mechanic that just works for cards, that just buff cards in your hand, is just a slow mechanic. We have seen it a little bit everywhere around. Paladin gained a lot of buff cards. Hunter actually already has a lot of buff cards. But it became really hard for the Hunter already to make cards that are buffing for 3 or 4 mana, like the Zip Gunner. To make them really work in a constructed deck. And that is a little bit my worry too about Emeriss. I like the card, it's a really powerful effect, but how is Hunter gonna work this out? How is Hunter having a lot of cards in the hand at turn 10? Hunter is not a deck that can be it's not like a Control Hunter is currently not really an archetype that is strong. It is an archetype that doesn't have enough defensive tools. It really struggles with its hero power already, because the hero power of the Hunter is just not a control hero power. So it is hard for the Hunter to make this work. There are some cool mechanic things, of course, you can do with this. Do it with a Lyra, do it with a King Crush, and you can make some really nice mechanics work. But the big question is, how often can I play at turn 10 a card that is a 10 mana 8/8 and that makes my hand really strong? How often do you get away with that? A lot of times the games are getting so tempo dependent, especially for the Hunter. So it's gonna make this card is definitely gonna need additional support to make a ranked archetype work for it. Up to the Druid card, Forest Guide. Forest Guide is a new card for the Druid that has again a little bit of an, let's say, interesting mechanic. I'm a little bit concerned about what really is the direction of Druid gonna be, because I'm really not impressed by the Druid card. Some cards would be definitely nice for classes, but Druid is getting some really different cards from what we have seen before. It's really like hand Druidy cards, draw cards or cards that are getting good if you have more cards in your hand. And here's another one, a bit of it. A 4 mana 1/6. If we look at the stat line, it's definitely an underwhelming card. 4 mana 1/6. At the end of the turn, both players draw a card. So already a little bit of an underwhelming card itself. And then also saying both players draw a card, not just you draw a card. No, both players draw a card. It is not a card that you will play in a standard Druid deck. So it has to be a Druid deck with a special archetype, like let's say Mill Druid. In a Mill Druid deck, yeah, maybe you can play this, but is it gonna be like stronger than, for example, Naturalize or anything around it? Coldlight Oracle is rotating out, so there are gonna be less mechanics available, but it definitely needs some additional support. And a 4 mana 1/6 that mills one card is not gonna be like really punishing towards that strategy. So I'm definitely waiting for a little bit more support for Druid in whatever direction we're gonna go, because the current cards all need additional support. Next up is the mage card Vex Crow. Vex Crow, 4 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a spell, summon a random 2-cost minion. So we have had Flamewaker before in mage. We have Violet Teacher around as a neutral card that has been around for always. And this card is kind of like filling around that kind of spot a bit. Whenever you cast a spell, it summons a 2-cost minion. Stat-wise, it's a little bit more the stats are a little lower than Teacher, but I think the power effect is way higher. It has like a Pilot Shatter effect on the card when you play a spell, but it's also whenever you cast a spell. So this is a really strong card, I think. It is a little bit of a deck that you want to like build your deck around, but with cards like Primordial Glyph around, this is definitely a card that can make that can definitely make some really nice work already for a cheap cost. Mage has like the availability of playing cheap cards, so this is a good card. I think this is a good card. Play it even with a coin. Suddenly you keep the coin for a little bit longer and you already get yourself an additional 2-drop. So this card is gonna be a good card. It's definitely on the power level of Pilot Shredder, I think. And that is not something I would often say. So don't underestimate this card. This is a really strong card. Play it in a more tempo-based mage. There are tempo mage decks around. So yeah, it's a little bit more of a minion-based tempo mage deck probably. But this is good. This is a really strong card. Just you can have like, of course, unfortunate outcomes like the Doomsayer, but the potential of just getting a random 2-mana card, well, it's definitely good. Random 2-mana cards are often 2/2s, 3/2s, stat lines like that. And if you just get like 3 of them at turn 5, with just a coin, mirror image, Primordial Glyph or something, it can be really good. So fair. This card is definitely one of the more stronger cards revealed so far. Next up is the Paladin spell Sound the Bells. Tung, 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 tung. Let's sound the bells, guys. Let's let the bells ring. Well, I'm not sure if this Sound the Bells is also gonna ring in towards the meta or in towards a Paladin so much, because I don't think this card is that impressive at first looks. Sound the Bells being a card that gives a minion +1/+2 is really similar to cards that we already have for 1 mana in the Paladin with like buff mechanics. If you will play this card like twice for like at turn 4, it is like just more underwhelming compared to Blessing of Kings. Even you can like play it to you can buff it on like different minions. So not a strong card. I know that Echo Mechanic is like a more flexible use in the late game. So that is like why you should maybe consider a card like this. But I just think the stat line of this card is not good enough. I'm still a little bit waiting for maybe a card that like makes like Echo much stronger. Let's say reduce the spells with Echo for 1 mana, or maybe like some Emperor effect that can make a card like this work. We haven't seen anything yet. For now, some Echo cards are alright. Some are just a little bit more underwhelming. So I'm a little bit worried still. But yeah, this card definitely on its own is not like that impressive for me. Priest is getting a little bit more Death Rattle support. And that is towards the Coffin Crasher. Of course, we have like the quest that is already going. Lately we have seen also more Priest support towards Death Rattle. And here we have the Coffin Crasher. Death Rattle, summon a Death Rattle minion from your hand. That is actually a pretty alright card. We have seen cards, Death Rattle cards mainly, that are just not making it because they are too slow. But a Death Rattle that summons a Death Rattle is kinda working towards a more battle cry effect as Death Rattle, but it is better. You have, for example, the Bone Drake, what has been a card that has been around in, yeah, more dragon-oriented priest deck. It has been a card that is already really strong in Arena. But a Death Rattle that summons a Death Rattle is a really power play. You coin out this card, you play this at turn 6, and if you kill it off yourself or your opponent kills it, it has a direct effect on the board. Directly there is something possible. Play it with Deathwing. You coin out this guy, it's not getting silenced, and suddenly you can put on a 12 cost card on the board. So this card is like, play it with Karen, play it with Deathwing, play it with like any card that are around maybe. Or is the Deathwing rotating out? I'm actually not really sure, but there are a lot of like expensive Death Rattle cards you can support with it, and that definitely makes it really like a power card. This is a card that can just make make it into a priest deck just by the power potential. You see other 6 mana cards like Spiteful Summoner having this effect. This one is a little bit slower, but this one you can also make your deck a little bit more friendlier around. This is definitely a card you should keep your eyes on because of the 6 mana of the card, but the card can cheat out way more mana than the card just says at the start. Definitely a card to keep your eyes on, and definitely a card that maybe Priest can make work. Wanted, the next Rogue spell that has been revealed. So Rogue is always a little bit interesting in the way cards are getting revealed. Rogue is normally getting a little bit like different cards, as it is more like the Miracle archetype in Hearthstone, but also the deck that you have to be really careful with, or the clash you have to be really careful with, because if you give Rogue something, it suddenly becomes really strong, and if you give it nothing, it becomes like the weak class. So Rogue feels for me the little bit hard class, always also in the way of evaluation. As there is like miracle ways that you have a Rogue that can take the approach in Rogue. 4 mana, Wanda, deal 3 damage to your to a minion. If that kills it, add a coin to your hand. Reminds me a little bit on Tom Pillager. That was like a 4 mana card, but a really strong stat line card that also gained a coin. Became one of the best cards ever, especially for Rogue. How a 3 damage card will do with that, I am not so sure. Like, adding a coin to your hand is definitely something that Rogue can do a lot with. So don't underestimate it. You can see this card a little bit in the spot as Jade Lightning, in the spot as what we have now in the Flanking Strike for Hunter. Both of these cards are really strong. This card is, I don't think, on that power level, but I definitely think that the card is gonna be an approach that Miracle Rogue can take. Adding a coin to your hand is really powerful. Rogue is completely fine at turn 4 to kill your opponent's minion and gain a coin. That's fine. That's fine for Rogue. Rogue is completely fine with removing your opponent's minion and adding yourself a little benefit. Because it can make miracles thing happen. It sets up better gadget sense. It sets up just more power plays for the Rogue. So this card is definitely a card that can fit in like the gadgets and miracle decks. It has preparation to also benefit from that. So every time a Rogue spell gets revealed so far, keep in mind that you need to think it in a way of a different approach. And I will not like count this card out. It's not an as powerful card as some others, but one knows. One knows. Adding a coin to your hand is a powerful effect for Rogue. Has been a powerful effect in Rogue for like the last 3-4 years. So I will not call Wounded out yet, even though the 4 mana deal 3 damage is definitely not like, it's not an eviscerate. It's definitely not on that power level. Next up, another spell for Rogue, and this time it is the Cheap Shot. 2 mana, deal 2 damage to a minion for Rogue, and that is definitely a considerable good card. When I first saw this card, you can of course think about it a little bit like Backstab. The little benefit of this card is it can also be a card that you can kill off minions with. So if a minion is damaged, you can still use this card on it. And the card has Echo. So hey, we can just keep shooting minions away. Definitely a power card for the Rogue, especially that Rogue is getting a cheap Echo spell is definitely something to keep in mind. So yeah, like I think the Echo mechanic works the best for 1 or 2 mana cards. When it already gets to 3 or 4 mana, I kinda don't think that it makes any cut in spells or minions that fast. But what we have seen in the Hunter, the card I revealed earlier with the Hunting Mastiff being a 2 mana Echo minion card with Rush. Here we have a spell that has an Echo mechanic with deal 2 damage. And again for Rogue, Miracle archetype can make it look cheaper. Cards like Preparation around, so you can play this and then Preparation and play it again. A lot of good synergy with this card already in the Rogue class. Spell damage, of course, something too. And Rogue just likes to play as much spells as they want. So, yeah. Also a card that stacks really well, I think, around the Rogue archetype. So I will definitely keep this card in mind. Still have to look... I'm still wanting to see if Blizzard is coming out with a card that says... Echo spells, get cheaper. Echo minions, get cheaper. Still waiting a little bit to see what is the whole direction that we get into the Echo. The Echo is a new mechanic, we don't know enough yet about it. And we need to see what Blizzard is all doing in this set with the Echo mechanic as a total picture. Next up is the Legendary for Warlock. And what does Warlock get? A lovely Legendary once again. Lord Godfrey, 7 mana 4/4. Deals 2 damage to all other minions if any die. Repeat this battle cry. Really, really powerful card. Really powerful card. No, I can't really argue about that at all. Like, I think the card, if you just read the card, it's just an AoE clear, and what is so awesome about this, it deals damage to all other minions. It doesn't deal damage to ourselves. So what this is often gonna be is... Like, there are gonna be a lot of boards where this is just a guaranteed board clear. 7 mana, 4/4, and clear the whole board away. It's definitely a really power card. Only thing is, Warlock already has Deval, what is like a little bit similar to this card and just so much cheaper. Like, Deval is a 2 mana card. Deval, though, we can definitely argue that it is one of the best Hearthstone cards ever revealed. There is not a card that comes even close on the removal way of Deval and for the cost of Deval. So, yeah, it's definitely... and Warlock at the moment is a really reactive class. All the Warlock decks, the control Warlock decks, a little bit less cube, but still cube Warlocks too. They are not as... they are really control-y, and they maybe don't really care that you have a 4... that you summon a 4/4. Like, they can cheat in mana way better already. But I think this card is really good. I definitely think this card is gonna be an... we all know how Deval made it into Hearthstone. Well, you have to then definitely think of this card too that way. It's just really powerful to summon, to remove the whole board. Just removing is such a strong mechanic in Hearthstone. And even developing a little bit yourself here. Really strong card. When Deval will be gone, this card will be the card for Warlock to run. But even already now, I think it can definitely make the cut in Warlock. Really powerful Warlock Legendary, Lord Godfrey. So after Lord Godfrey, it's time to look at what a Warrior gets as the new Legendary. And Warrior is getting the Gun Turret. The Gun Turret. Pretty funny name when I was thinking about it. Hey, Warrior, here's your Legendary. It's a Gun Turret. 7 mana, 3/8. Can't attack. Whenever this takes damage, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. First, when I was looking at this card, I was a little bit like, oh my god, really? That cannot be good, right? But giving it a second thought, I was actually, nah, this card's actually kind of alright. This card, it doesn't really matter. The attack of this card doesn't really matter, in my opinion. I don't think there is a big difference if this card will be in 7 mana 3/8 or a 7 mana 6/8. Just the stat line of having 3 attack is a strong baseline. And Warrior has a lot of decent synergy with this. You can make, with Control Warrior archetypes already running the Blood Razor, Wind, like there's a lot of synergy with this card that can make it work. The thing that concerns me a little bit is this card doesn't have Taunt. Like, it would be a little bit better if this card would have Taunt. So your opponent is like forced to play into the turret. But maybe like Warrior can make some synergy around it. I think also Garrosh is a great synergy. Garrosh hero power and you suddenly deal also 3 damage. But I'm just a little bit worried. Like it also deals damage to a random enemy, so it's able to also, it's not just based on minions on the board. It can also deal to the face. So maybe there is in the Warrior decks it's really easy to deal 1 damage, and every card you have to keep in, like there are a lot of Warrior cards that you see that can make the cut just because of it having the availability of stacking so well with that. Of course, it looks a little bit maybe underwhelming to cards like Ragnaros, but it has more power plays that you can do multiple things in a turn. Can be a cleaner way of dealing with smaller minions on the board. So I definitely think this is a card that I will definitely try out in my warrior deck. And I definitely think in control warrior decks, this is a card you should consider. Next warrior deck is Darius, and the second legendary. So warrior already having both of his legendaries revealed now. Second legendary, Darius, Crowley. 5 mana 4/4 with a new mechanic, rush after this minions and kills another minion, gain a +2/+2. Not a flashy legendary at all. But definitely a legendary to keep your eyes a bit on. This is not a legendary that I necessarily think directly for a control warrior archetype, but I can see this this legendary work more in like a tempo warrior. Maybe a rush warrior. If there is any class that I will be like now that I think rush can be a thing in, it is warrior. Warrior is a class that can work with rush because it can play the playstyle of developing and then abusing. Develop the board a little bit with Frothing Berserkers, make a weapon, play some nice statted healthy minions, and then you follow it up with rush. And what is the, like where the rush has to shine is, rush has to be the mechanic where it, you defend what you currently have on board, you attack into opponent's minions, and then the board that you have, you can go to the face. It has to be the tempo play. That's where it has to shine. So yeah, it can be an alright thing. This can also grow, so it has the Boogie Monster effect of like gaining +2/+2. Of course, this card is much better than Boogie Monster. I mean, guys, we are not gonna come. I don't even, if I already have to think of like looking at a card that has the power level of Boogie Monster, I'm already disappointed. So of course can be happy, and maybe Tempo Warrior can be a thing again. Has been a deck that was really good 1 or 2 years ago. Power level of Hearthstone was a little bit lower. You don't have like Void Lords that can suddenly come out at turn 4 and 5. But yeah, I think this card is definitely gonna be alright. I hope we can see a little bit more that synergizes. But this is a good all-around card. It's not a flashy legendary at all, but definitely legendary that is on the power level of being alright, and that can make it in a warrior deck. Going next to more 4 neutral minions now. The first one, Scaleworm. 4 mana 4/4, if you're holding a dragon, gain +1 and rush. So a 4 mana 4/4 with rush, that ain't bad. I'm especially thinking of like what card can I like combine this with, and if you look at a card like Korkan, it's like a 4 mana 4/3 with charge. This is kind of the same with a 4 mana 5/4 with rush, guys. That's a pretty power, man. Like, already considering that it's a really good stat line, and it having rush, it is a little bit unfortunate that it has an aggressive stat line of rush. Rush is way better when it has a defensive stat line, as it then trades better, because rush is a mechanic you need to trade with. But it's definitely a card to keep in mind. Need to see what dragons can really do. Quite a lot of dragons are rotating out with the next expansion, so we'll see how much dragon synergy there is left over, or there is getting into again. This is a beast itself, so maybe you want to like combine archetypes a little bit. Hey, we have seen a card that is a beast and a dragon combined already, so maybe that can be a thing, but we'll see. Definitely a card that that has the stat line to become a good card. Next card will be the new Spider Tank with a Battle Cry. It is the Blackwald Pixie. 3 mana 3/4, Battle Cry, refresh your hero power. So one of the cards that has been a card that I really liked, that is going to be rotating out, is the Beardo. The Beardo that has been a card that we have seen in the OTK Paladin, of course, a lot. But yeah, a card that also refreshed the hero power after playing a spell. This one just has a Battle Cry of refreshing the hero power. So Battle Cry of refreshing the hero power, making it possible you can also hero twice, might be more a card that can really fit into like the odd or even decks that make your hero power cheaper, and so you want a hero power a lot. This is not a replacement for Beardo at all. Beardo was more of a miracle card. This is more of a steady card that you can maybe bring in your warrior, and so you go armor up, refresh hero power, armor up. Or in your hunter deck of hero power, refresh hero power, hero power. It's more in that kind of way I think you have to think about it. So I don't know if there is going to be more support towards that yet. We have seen the Greymane, that has been a good one. We have seen the Baku, that can be like doing a lot of things with hero power. I think that is more a card where we have to see the Pixie in more decks like this. Another card that also is going to do additional things with the hero power is the Clockwork Automaton. 5 mana 4/4, double the damage and healing of your hero power. So hey, if your hunter power deals 2, but hey, we upgrade the hero power to 3. Hey, let's do a 6 damage hero power is what the hunter says. I steady shot you in the face for 6. Well, that is like the thing that you can make this work. And hey, let's refresh the hero power and do it twice. Well, how can we... Maybe there are like mechanics where we can make it work. Where we can deal like deal additional damage. Maybe a priest can of course work really well. It has a Velen effect with it as like healing goes double. I wonder. Would be cool, right? If a steady shot can just deal you 6 in the face and then we refresh and Rexar is dealing another 6 in the face. I don't know if that's really like gonna be a thing, because you definitely have to heavily make your deck around it. But hey, interesting to at least think about. Yeah, stat line this week of the card, it's a mech. Mechs are not really a thing anymore. There are always like... Blizzard is always like randomly putting 1 or 2 mechs in every expansion. I guess this is one of them again. So the mech synergy, yeah, in standard, just don't think about it. It's probably gonna be the only mech again, or with 1 more. But yeah, it can be maybe a thing with the double hero power. Maybe there are some cool mechanics that we can make work with it. And last card, neutral card for now, is the Ravencaller. It's a 3 mana 2/1 card. Battle Cry, add 2 random 1-cost minions to your hand. Stat line of the card is weak for a 3 mana card, definitely. Battle Cry, you might get like a little bit payback of the card because of the Battle Cry. So the card value wise is worth, but it's a pretty slow card. And how worthy is it to really like add 1 mana cards to your deck? You can think about this card about Quest Hunter, guys, but this is what we every expansion do. Every 1 mana card is suddenly like we think about as a Quest Hunter card. But have we ever seen Quest Hunter being an legit deck? It never became really from the ground, so I don't want to think about that at all. And I don't think you want to play a 3 mana card to make that work. So yeah, I'm not really impressed by this card. I don't think randomness of a 1 mana cost is also something you want. It will be better if you could like have add 2 random 1 mana cost from your class to your hand. That makes it more interesting, because then suddenly Warlock can get Voidwalkers and Flame Imps in the Zoo deck. Hunter can, or like an Hunter can get some cool 1-drops. The Druid can get like Ravens. I think that could make this card a little bit better in a balanced way. This way, the range is so wide, the RNG is too high, the bad outcomes are also too high, I think, because 1 mana cost minions are also having a really low power level. So I don't think this card is gonna make the cut. Maybe besides, yeah, maybe in Arena it can fit out curves a little bit easier. So yeah, not really impressed by this card. And but that was the review for now. I hope we're gonna get more excited. Definitely waiting. Definitely a cool period always in Hearthstone to get all the reveals going. Hope you like the review videos that I am making too. And we will follow this one up definitely. Thank you for watching.